Nikola Jokic just became the first player in NBA history to record a 30, 20, and 20 game. 31 points, 21 rebounds, and 22 assists in an overtime win, and even more impressive than the raw box score was the different ways in which he attacked the Suns' defense, showcasing his unrivaled offensive versatility. For a few weeks now, Jokic has been dealing with some really aggressive defensive coverages. It started with that Lakers game where they switched every action involving Jokic, fronted every post touch, and brought another defender over early to deny him the ball. Then whenever he did get the ball in the post, they'd send an immediate double from the weak side to crowd him and force him into making tough decisions. 3 days ago, the Kings tried something similar, switching wings, fronting the post, and crowding him on every single touch. And just 3 days before that, the Celtics had a game plan of their own, doubling every post touch and packing the paint to not let him create any clean looks for himself. You'll notice that all of these schemes were geared towards shutting down Jokic's post-ups. So against the Suns, instead of trying to feed him the ball with his back to the basket, he operated a lot more like a supersized perimeter player. A minute into the game, they started Jokic off the ball and ran him off a down screen. The Suns switch, but nobody jumps out to Jokic, so he's left with space to pull from outside. Phoenix actually started this one with a huge lineup. Richards at the 5, Bull at the 4, and Durant at the 3, and their plan for defending the pick and roll was to have Richards play the ball in a drop while the low man cheated way over to take away the roll. The problem is that Jokic will make that extra pass every time, and Denver's shooters were on a heater. The Nuggets also had a counter to this coverage though. Instead of running spread pick and roll, they started from an empty corner. So if Richards picks up the ball, there's nobody in position to tag Jokic in the short roll. As I mentioned though, Jokic was playing a lot more like a guard or a wing than like a traditional big. So a huge part of the Nuggets offense in this game was these inverted pick and rolls with a guard screening for Jokic. This time Plumlee sags off of Jokic to play the pass, and the big man is left with another wide open triple. Late in the second quarter, they went to this exact same setup, and again the big sagged way off of Jokic, but this time he actually passes up the jumper to instead create a wide open layup for Brown. Going back to those Plumlee minutes though, when he was the lone big on the floor, that's when they started to run more of their offense through Jokic in the post. The Suns' plan for defending these post-ups was to send a double from the top of the key to get the ball out of his hands, and again, the Nuggets roll guys made them pay. Personally, this was my favorite pass of his from the night. The double comes, Royce O'Neal has to cover two shooters, and Jokic stares down Gordon up top, only to throw a no-look skip pass behind his shoulder to MPJ, who attacks a closeout but fails to convert on a floater. For the most part though, Denver converted on almost every opportunity Jokic created. In the first half, Gordon shot 5 of 7 from 3, Brown shot 2 of 2, Watson shot 2 of 3, and as a team they shot 13 of 20 or 65% from outside. Jokic played his part as well, recording 13 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists in just 19 minutes of play. To start the third, they went right back to using Jokic like a guard. He sets up an inverted pick and roll, and the Suns seemingly defend it well, but all it takes is a small window for him to find Porter for easy points. Then a play later, it looks like they might set it up again, only for Jokic to instead hand it off to Murray. And this is where we saw the Suns adjust their coverage. Instead of Richards dropping and playing the ball, he stayed glued to Jokic on the roll, leaving Jamal with space to attack. On this one, they run the empty corner pick and roll, and Richards never leaves Jokic, so when he gets the ball, it turns into a post up. Instead of a double from up top, Bull comes over with a double from the weak side, and Jokic finds Gordon in the corner as he continues to make it rain. The risk with doubling Jokic post-ups is that he's almost always going to find the open man. And if that open man happens to be a 40% three-point shooter, good luck getting stops. Oh, I should also mention that a couple minutes before that, the Nuggets got out in transition, and Jokic grabbed a rebound before dropping it off to Porter to secure a triple-double with 10 minutes and 20 seconds left in the third quarter. Later in the third, they went back to using him like an off-ball wing. On this one, he curls off a down screen into open space for a mid-range jumper, and a couple minutes later, they set up the exact same action, except instead of looking for the jumper, Jokic keeps running to screen for the ball. Remember, Plumlee's not going to leave Jokic, so when Russ turns the corner, he's left with an easy lane to the rim. Then the Suns tried to adjust their coverage again by icing the screen, with Tyus Jones funneling the ball into Plumlee in a drop, but that means the only way to recover to Jokic up top is with a switch. And one thing about Jokic is that he will always abuse mismatches, so they reset the offense for him to seal off position in the middle where he gets the ball back for easy points of his own. That takes us to the end of the third. The Nuggets had a pretty comfortable 11-point lead, and through 31 minutes of play, Jokic had already recorded a remarkable 17 points, 12 rebounds, and 15 assists. When he checked into the fourth though, the Suns had a smaller lineup on the floor with Nick Richards as the only guy taller than 6'5". So that meant it was time for Jokic to start operating like a traditional big. Not only did he dominate the glass during these minutes, he was able to easily seal off deep position in the paint for quick post scoring. Then when Durant checked back in as a secondary rim protector, Jokic was right back to running around screens without the ball and curling into open space for long-range jumpers. It can't be overstated how many different ways he's able to attack a defense. In just 4 minutes of the fourth, he's already gotten a putback, a post bucket, an off-screen three, and now he's attacking a closeout and driving into a layup. But in these late game situations, we all know that the Nuggets want to run that signature two-man game. And the Suns adjusted again by straight up putting 2 on the ball, which again puts Jokic in a position to make reads out of the short roll and find the open man. The only problem is that the Nuggets had opened the game on an absolute heater, and now they went ice cold. So when Jokic gets the ball in the post and draws a double, Gordon's left with a warm-up jumper that doesn't drop. Then when they were down 2 in the final minute, we saw it again, with Jokic drawing 2 and finding Murray in the corner, who wasn't able to knock down the jumper. But after the rebound, Porter makes a huge defensive play to get the ball back and tie it up at 122. Tie game, 7 seconds left, they go right back to that two-man game to which the Suns put 2 on the ball, and Jokic continues to make the right read out of the short roll as Christian Braun hits a huge 3 to give them the lead with just 1 second to go, only for Kevin Durant to hit a corner 3 at the buzzer, not only sending the game to OT, but extending Jokic's chances to make NBA history. To open up overtime, the Nuggets went right to Jokic in the low post, and before the Suns can even come with a double, he's already scoring. Next time down, they went back to that two-man game, and instead of 2 on the ball, Plumlee's gonna go back to staying home on Jokic, which leaves Jamal with space to pull up for a jumper. Then on the other end, Booker tries to match with a mid-range jumper of his own, and when it doesn't drop, Jokic picks up rebound number 20. Going back to the two-man game though, that's where Denver found almost all of their late game offense. On this one, Plumlee has to pick up the ball, leaving Jokic with an open floater that gets him to 30 points. And so they ran it again. Jokic hands it off to Jamal, Plumlee doesn't pick up the ball, so he turns the corner and gets to the rim for a layup. Now they're in complete control of the game, and instead of a post-up or that two-man game, they decide to run another inverted pick and roll. Jokic draws 2, hits MPJ on a slip, and that was assist number 20. But he wasn't done just yet. He picked up another defensive rebound and quickly threw an outlet to Christian Braun for a 21st assist. Then a few moments later, he threw another outlet to Braun for a 22nd assist. They end up winning the overtime period by 8 points with a final score of 149 to 141, and Jokic becoming the first player to ever record a 30, 20, and 20 game. You could take a quick glance at the box score and come to the conclusion that Jokic had a historic night, but what stood out most to me was the sheer amount of ways in which he attacked that Suns defense. From playing point guard and running inverted pick and rolls, to curling off of screens like a movement shooter and knocking down jumpers. From screening in the pick and roll and dicing up different coverages as a passer out of the short roll, to sealing off low post position and dominating the glass like a traditional big. What we're witnessing right now with Jokic is arguably the most complete offensive player in NBA history, who continues to do things that we've never seen before in the game of basketball. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out the Hoop Venue podcast and my social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you thought of this game. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.